Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here today for this very special edition of PropTech Insights with Women in PropTech. So we do have a first for us. Today, we're going to be talking about accelerator programs with NAR REACH, and we are joined by three fantastic speakers that you're going to enjoy hearing from today. So it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Ashley Stinton, who is the Head of Marketing and Communications at NAR REACH and Second Venture Ventures, who can tell you all about the program. We have Sheila Matuscak, who is the founder and CEO of CoeoSpace, and she's also a 2018 REACH commercial program alumni. And then we also have Katherine Winston, or Kat Winston, as she's also known, who is Head of Digital Marketing at Plunk, and she is part of the 2021 NAR REACH program, which is the current program going on at the moment. So thank you so much, ladies, for joining us here today.
Thanks.
All right, so we might just get cracking, and if you wouldn't mind, maybe if you could all introduce yourselves. Perhaps if we can start with Ashley as a start.
Sure. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you for having us here. We're really excited to be able to share a little bit more about us and really shine a light on two of our fantastic female leaders from our portfolio and tell you guys a little bit more about NAR REACH today. So I'm Ashley Stinton, Head of Marketing at Second Century Ventures. Second Century Ventures is the venture capital arm of NAR. And at Second Century Ventures, we operate the REACH Scale-Up program. I actually got my start in PropTech by way of NAR, where I was the director of marketing, but I'd say my inspiration to work with small businesses and new and emerging brands really started back. I spent a lot of years in the consumer goods industry, working with some large corporations. And in my time there, experienced a lot of exits, acquisitions, global expansion. But some of that involved working with really small brands like the Honest Tea brand and really getting to see through the experience of entrepreneurs like Seth Goldman, who eventually sold Honest Tea to Coca-Cola. So it really piqued my interest in working with those small and emerging businesses. So then when I made my way over to real estate and to NAR, the REACH team asked me to serve as a mentor. And in my time serving as a mentor and getting a little taste of the REACH program and the founders and entrepreneurs who come through it, I was just in complete awe at some of the creativity and some of the just incredible teams that come through the program. So when the opportunity presented itself, I jumped at the chance to work with SCV, and now I get to spend all day, every day working with awesome folks like yourselves here, like Kat and Sheila and the rest of our portfolio.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ashley, for introducing yourself. And Sheila, would you mind introducing yourself as well and maybe a little bit about your company?
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me today. I'm Sheila Matuscak, the CEO and founder of CoeoSpace. I've been a commercial real estate professional for 25 years, primarily brokerage. I've also done investments, development work, and was even head of real estate for a technology company. So in 2019, I launched CoeoSpace, and Coeo is Latin for to join or to come together. And what the company is it is an open platform where for free, users can find space and landlords and brokers can list their space. And then using our custom matching algorithm, we connect these two parties together. So really the motivation and the real reason for launching CoeoSpace was we wanted to bring transparency and useful, solid data to the commercial real estate marketplace to really help everybody make more informed decisions and have an easier and more credible way to do business. So thrilled to be here and thrilled to be in the PropTech community and really excited about the fact that we were in the original commercial program for NAR REACH.
Fantastic. So happy to have you here today. And Katherine, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and your company as well.
Thanks, Nikki. And yes, Sheila, I'm excited too to be part of this year's REACH program. So I've been a marketer and content producer, mostly for startups and realtors for the past 20 years. I also founded my own company and ran it for about a decade. So I know all about startups and founding companies and all that great stuff. So currently I'm the head of digital marketing at Plunk, which is the first ever mobile app designed to help homeowners increase the value of their homes. So, I mean, that's a lot, right? Increase the value of your homes. How do you do that through an app? First thing we do is we give you a real-time valuation. So no more guesstimates. You'll get an instant and accurate valuation of your home. We also give you something we call the Plunk value. And basically what that is it's a forecast of how much your home could be worth if you did the right upgrades. But who knows what the right upgrades are? We do. And that's our third feature. We call it project recommendations. So we give you a list of projects specific to increasing the value of your home with the help of advanced data analytics. Once we give you those project recommendations, let's say it's an upgrade to your kitchen, and you say, yeah, okay, I want to do that. You click on that. We then allow you to connect with a financier. So we'll help you get a home renovation loan so that you could finance that kitchen upgrade, and it's all on your phone. Besides the things I do at Plunk, on my spare time, I also love organizing community events and clubhouse talks, and especially ones that amplify underrepresented voices such as people of color and female entrepreneurs. And I love participating at webinars such as this. So thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Women in PropTech. Thank you, NAR, for inviting me.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. We're absolutely delighted to have you here today. And I love hearing how, with both or all of your professional journeys have been quite diverse and also linked into real estate. And I think that's really what's quite interesting about PropTech as opposed to other technology verticals, is that a lot of people and a lot of the entrepreneurs actually understand real estate itself and understand the problems within it. We might just stay with you for a moment, Kat, and maybe just kind of launching right into it and talking about the Accelerator program.
Mm-hmm.
Could you maybe just for our audience, maybe talk about the difference between, a scale up and a regular accelerator, and what it was that took you to apply for NAR REACH?
Sure. I think the startup accelerator is the more popular kind, where it's like you're just starting your business out and you're looking for ways to figure out how to raise money, how to get the right lawyer, how to get an accountant, all the basics. With a scale-up accelerator, which is part of what we loved about REACH, is that it's a way to help a company that's a little bit older than a startup that's been around for a couple months. So in our case, we've been around for almost a couple of years. We already had a lot of things in place. And in all honesty, we were already oversubscribed, so we didn't necessarily need even any more funding. But there was something that REACH had, which is sort of, it's what it is, the reach of contacts. And so for us, through a scale-up accelerator, we're able to accelerate our growth by having the right contacts. So even though we already have the correct financing, that doesn't get you anywhere, especially in an industry such as real estate. It's a very older, traditional industry, and there's a lot of nuances to it. And so with an accelerator like REACH, they're helping us navigate through the entire ecosystem. For us, just in the past 2 months, we've already made contacts with people that probably would have taken us, 10 years. So it's been wonderful for us to be able to reach the right people, but they also help us figure out how to reach those people, the best way to communicate with them. And we also have mentorship programs that we do on a weekly basis where we do strategic planning from everything, like marketing strategy, biz dev, hiring the right talent, and all the various things that are required to basically get us to market stronger. So we're really excited. Again, it's only been a couple of months, but we've already accomplished so much.
Fantastic, thank you. And I suppose for Sheila, how about yourself? Why did you choose to join a scale-up accelerator?
Well, we were a little bit earlier stage than Plunk, but I will say what was really cool is we were in person at the time. So what they did for us was not only did they introduce us to, speed dating mentor type relationships at every event, but they helped us hone our soundbite, our pitch, our story. And then since then, they've just really helped us evolve. So yes, we're always meeting people and they're acting as a mentor. But, with COVID, a lot of people had to pivot, including my company. And so by having these relationships in place with this accelerator that had watched you sort of grow through their program and then continue on and help us evolve and scale and grow through any challenges we have has just been amazing. So why did I choose them? Honestly, I got lucky because I don't think I valued them as much as I should have. I was a commercial broker and I was like, who is NAR anyway? Like my continuing ed people, only to find out how big they are, how important they are, how the talent that they have and their investment group in their marketing. And the fact is they own two very prominent commercial groups called SAOR and CCIM, which I'd been working with for years, but had no idea they were owned by NAR. So I'm sort of the one who always tells them that they're one of the few people that actually under promise and over deliver. So it's really been amazing. And I'm so lucky that we did it. So thanks.
Oh, fantastic. Well, there's a great testimonial for you. So isn't that wonderful? I mean, actually, could you maybe just as a start, maybe just give a little bit more of an overview of, you know, the accelerator itself and how it's run, why it exists, maybe just a little bit more depth about, you know, the global reach and what its purpose is.
Sure, absolutely. And I'm so glad Sheila and Kat are here because they're just doing my job for me by singing our praises. But I think that that's also part of, you know, really what makes Reach unique. You can see in really how Kat and Sheila expressed what the program means to them and what they came to it for and what they're hoping to get out of it. We take great pride in being very, very particular about the DNA of our classes, or what we call the DNA of our classes. We're a scale-up program designed as a really bespoke, highly curated experience. We pick really small class sizes, so typically no more than 10 and usually closer to 8. And that's because we're focused on who we can help the most and really specifically in scaling. We're not your classic accelerator. We're not co-locating. You know, we don't offer the classroom experience. It's not your basic, you know, kind of business startup skills, but it is highly specific to real estate and really working on a one-on-one experience. We're also a very event-based program. So we do a lot of our activity around the major real estate industry events because real estate is an industry that really loves its events and really relies on those events for a lot of the face-to-face connections that are so vital and so important. Something else that makes us really unique is we're now a global program. So we've expanded beyond the 2 programs that we run in the US, which are one class focused on the residential sector and another focused directly on the commercial sector. We also operate programs in Canada, the UK, and Australia. And I might note that also that our team of those 5 cohorts are led by 3 managing partners of our global programs by fantastic female leaders in each of those regions. And we have over 20 founders from our global portfolio led by women. So that's something else that makes us really unique and why we really love to work with organizations like Women in PropTech.
Fantastic. Thank you for that overview. And maybe Kat, if you don't mind, give a little bit of an insight of what it feels like to be part of the program at the moment. You know, what does the day in the life of look like?
Well, first I got to give props because, you know, we're going through this virtual stuff right now, right? And I feel like Reach has found a way to make it still feel so personal and personable. I know that, you know, usually these things are live and live classes and live events, but they've found a way to make it interactive enough for us so that we do feel like we're a part of this class and, you know, our cohorts, like, you know, I feel like we've bonded with our mentors and our classmates basically through this. And the way it works for us, I guess a day in the life of a Reach Reach cohort right now is, you know, we meet once a week, and every week it's a different type of programming. You know, one week it could be a mentorship program where they introduce us to 4 or 5 different experts who can help propel our business forward. And we have, you know, 45 to 1 hour sessions with them. And then there are weeks where we have, like I mentioned a while ago, our strategic planning, where we work with Ashley and her team from the Second Century Venture side to just make sure that our plan is going according to plan. So we go through, you know, what's going on, what's developing in our case, our app, you know, how's that developing and what's going on the biz dev side, on the marketing side, just to keep us on track. And then there are weeks where we will meet with the entire class, where we have a keynote speaker, and we have Q&A sessions, and then we have breakout sessions. So again, it's like they make it feel like these are all still live events, and they're doing it virtually. And I know it's been difficult, but Ashley, you guys have been doing such an amazing job. I'm blown away, to be honest. Like, I look forward to every Tuesday, you know. It's like we push forward just a little bit more every Tuesday. They keep us on track.
Fantastic. I love that. And I suppose, Sheila, what are some of the events and some of the programming that really stood out for you when you were part of the program that was, quite memorable and helped to propel you?
I mean, each event was really amazing. They were almost always put us up on a stage in a speaking position or in a panel in front of, thousands of people at places like CRE Tech or at one of the different conferences that NAR had around the world. And then they also had one day that you literally would spend explaining your business and then doing a speed dating with the top mentors in that city. So I don't know anywhere else where you can go to like New York City and have an entire day filled with people who started, the first PropTech companies 10 years ago and what they've learned and how, and so thinking about how can I help you? And all of them followed up, and it's really up to you as far as what you make of it. But that's what they did for us each time we went to an event, which was essentially every few weeks we were doing that in person. And I will say, like, being a graduate of it, it's a little bit different. It's not as structured as every Tuesday sort of thing, but there is definitely camaraderie amongst the companies that were in it together, as well as the mentors, and then the people at NAR and REACH. And I don't even know the difference sometimes between who's NAR and who's REACH. It's just they're all incredibly helpful, and they are all one big like family and supportive network for our company.
Ashley, if you don't mind, can you maybe just talk about the process of getting in and how to have an outstanding application? What was it about Sheila and Kat's applications, for example, that just really made them standout applications?
Yeah, great question. In addition to looking for, the top solutions out there, I think the people behind the technology is something that really stands out to us, or that we're looking for to stand out from the application process. It does start with an application. So, that application's on our website. We're currently open for applications for our 2021 REACH Canada program. Our REACH Australia program will open their applications in August, and then our other 3 programs will open their 2022 programs later this year. But it really does start with that application process. Through that, we get to know a little bit more about you. And then we'll do interviews. We'll do face-to-face interviews, well, in person if we can, or over Zoom if need be. But really getting to know the people and the teams behind the solutions. The community that REACH is built on and the peer learning that happens between companies is so important. And so we really want to bring in the right teams, and we really want to see that passion for these solutions from the teams. And I'd also say don't be worried about being too early or too late. We're stage agnostic. So unlike some accelerator programs, which are a little bit more maybe rigid with their criteria, again, we're just looking for the best solutions and the best teams out there. So don't hesitate to submit that application.
Fantastic. Thanks for the tips. Maybe Sheila, could you talk a little bit about, what your process was for putting in your application, or how you structured it, any tips that you might have for people listening in about, how long it takes, just anything that comes to mind?
Honestly, ours was one of the first ones, so I don't know if it's changed at all, but it was pretty straightforward. So it asked you for your information, and it asked you for what your idea was and what kind of traction you had and who your team was. And they pretty quickly, what I loved about it is they very quickly got back to you and said, okay, now you're a finalist. And then they interviewed us for the program, and then I guess they decide if it's a fit, and then they invite you to join and you work out your contract. So for the most part, it was very, very straightforward and no real trick to it other than be authentic and tell your story. And I think if it's a good match, they'll recognize it and you'll recognize it as well.
Fantastic. And how about you, Kat? What was it like for the team at Plunk? What did you do to make your application stand out?
Hi. So it was similar to Sheila's experience, where it was pretty straightforward. I saw the application, but my boss, the co-founder, ended up filling that out. So, but from when I reviewed it, it was pretty straightforward as far as just putting in, all the details as far as where your funding is, your management, what your value proposition is. So yeah.
And
Great.
Nikki, I'll also add that for some of our founders, they actually know the REACH program pretty well by the time they're filling out that application. And that's because they've met us at an industry event already, or they've met a fellow graduate or a graduate from the REACH program and already heard about us. But that's a great way to connect with us as well, is join us at one of the major industry events. That could be in the US, but again, we run programs in Canada, Australia, and the UK. And we have had companies come through the US program that are domiciled in Germany and Australia. So get to know us wherever you're located. Reach out to us, and I'll give you my personal email, which is ashley@scv.vc if you have any questions about that process, where to meet us, where to learn more about us, or that application process.
Fantastic, thank you. And I'm sure that people appreciate you making yourself so available to answer any questions that they have. So maybe I might shift gears just a little bit so that we can talk about the other end of the program and really about the objectives and what everyone's hoping to get out of it. I suppose let's maybe start with Sheila again, as having been on the other side of the program. My first question to you would really be around, when you went into the program, what were you hoping to get out of it? And did being in the program match up to those expectations as you came through to the end? How was that return on your time investment? Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was phenomenal. I think I actually underestimated going into it what it was going to do for us, but I was willing to give it a try. And really, at the first event we launched in the summer of 19, July of 19, it was just amazing. All the people I met, their credentials, their experience, the speakers, the way they just put the whole thing together. They used our time incredibly efficiently, and it was amazing. And one event after the next was just fabulous. It was really sad when it ended. But what we didn't realize then was that, again, it's whatever you make of it. You've met all these amazing people, and you're always invited to come back to the events and to stay in very close touch with these people. And, there's someone in Chicago named Bob Gillespie who runs the Chicago program. And then there's a bunch of mentors we've met. Like Duke Long has been really helpful to my company. Bob has been, Ashley has been, a number of the guys at NAR, Dan and Dave, who are incredibly IT experts. One is helping us interview a new technologist for our company today. So I don't even know where their help starts and stops. I just know that they are constantly there for us. And I'm amazed by it, really. So I feel really fortunate to be a part of it, and it's incredibly fabulous, and it's exceeded my expectations so far. And I don't, that just doesn't happen very often. I'm like actually out of words,
Fantastic. I can see Kat smiling, because I feel like you're getting a sense of that the program doesn't just end on the end date, that you get to continue on. I suppose, Kat, like for you, being in the program now, and it's, you're thinking about success, what are you hoping to get out of it? And, what does success look like for you at the end of the program?
So for us, we just launched in the greater Seattle area, and our goal is to be nationwide by sometime next year. So that's one of our greatest goals over the next year. And we're already, experiencing that sort of outcome. Reach's promise was to help grow our company and accelerate that process. And they're already beginning to do that. Just within a few weeks' time, our co-founders have already met with quite a few C-level executives, and we're already in the process of talking about collaboration. And so again, it's like contacts that would have taken us 5 to 10 years to make, we're making over the program, right during the program. I mean, we would have had to cold call, research, wine and dine, and, all sorts of things. But they're helping facilitate these contacts that help us to grow our business much quicker. Hence an accelerator program,
Fantastic. And I might switch the same question over to you, Ashley, but in a different sense. What does success look like for Reach itself? How do you know when one of your portfolio companies has really nailed it and achieved what the vision of what you wanted them to achieve?
Yeah, that's also a great question. We have a number of KPIs that we look at to really measure success, but it also really starts with working with our companies to define that with them. So Kat referenced earlier a strategic planning process. That's something where we spend a lot of time one-on-one to really understand these companies, the true ins and outs, and really focus our time during their time in the program, but then also talk about long-term success. But how can we help most? Because again, we're such a unique program. I'd like to think we're really good at self-awareness. We know where we can help, and we want to hone in on exactly that. Let us help in the areas that we can help the most. But success looks a little bit different to every single company that comes to the program. For some, it's not strictly BD, but it's very much about that type of growth. For others, it's really understanding the dynamic between the MLS market, the association world, the go-to-market strategy. Is that brokers? Is it agents? How to reach the right communities? Or it could be help with some of the access that we have as part of NAR and the lobbying efforts that we have on Capitol Hill. Notarize is a fantastic example for us, a company that came to us, years before remote online notarization was where it's at today. And through NAR, we've been able to help support the Secure Act, which is before Congress, to help make remote online notarization accessible in all 50 states. And it's not quite there yet. But that's a great example of success for Notarize that didn't necessarily come in the form of purely sales. So yeah, that really bespoke, curated nature, spending the time with each company to evaluate what success is, then helps us really set those goals with them.
Can I just also add one more thing? Just Ashley reminded me that besides, being able to make all these great contacts, for me as a marketer, you especially, Ashley, have been able to help us just figure out how we do navigate around realtors, because that's part of our audience. So our goal is to, have this app for homeowners, but this app is also for realtors. So how do we communicate this app to homeowners? How do we get them to use the app? How do we distribute our materials so that they'll actually pay attention to us, And so all of these things that we're learning along the way through this program.
Fantastic. And I suppose, Ashley, I might just stay with you for a moment and just, what's been described as quite a structured program for people, when they're in the accelerator. Is there a structured alumni program, or are they invited to attend certain events, or how does it kind of work once someone becomes an alumni?
Yeah, it's certainly less structured once a company graduates from the program. And that's because those industry events certainly change year to year. And so we don't have a defined curriculum per se for our alumni, but we're making sure that they're aware of all the industry events we'll be at and encouraging them to join us and to continue to meet with us and lean on us like Sheila has. Honestly, that's the, one of the best ways we can be helpful is continue to reach out to us and provide us with updates, and we'll continue to support you as well. We have some other modes of communication like newsletters, quarterly newsletters that we use to update our portfolio. As we're expanding rapidly around the world, I think our community will only grow stronger. Once we're able to safely convene in person, we really look forward to being able to bring that global community together more in person, but right now it's bringing that community together virtually. So support comes in a couple different ways. Some of the most simple ways are through different program perks that we have, might be with organizations like Zendesk or AWS, and some of the what seem like smaller ways to support startups that can have a very, very large impact through simple things like program perks, but certainly making sure that they still continue to have access to exclusive industry events, and our famous or infamous networking receptions is certainly a great way for our alumni to connect with our current classes.
Fantastic. It sounds great that you can continue to be part of the ecosystem even after your time is up. And I think, probably a theme I'm also gleaning from this, as you reference Sheila's involvement, is that you get out of it what you put in. If you're proactively staying connected with the program, then you can really maximize it. And that's something I'm always a believer in, is that if an opportunity is offered to you, embrace it. It's there for the taking. So I might just shift gears for a little bit. And, as we kind of work towards wrapping up, and this is something I might direct towards you, Katherine, as a start, but I'd love to hear from everyone. And it is something that is very close to my heart. Just talking about bias in our industry. You had mentioned that you run dinners and that you do, quite a lot of work in this space. How can technology help to solve this problem of bias in our industry? And I know when we spoke before, you mentioned some ways that Plunk is actually working on this problem.
Yes. So for us, we're an AI company, so artificial intelligence and AVMs, we believe, may help in mitigating bias. AVMs, for those folks who don't know, is automated valuation models. So which means they don't involve human inspection of a property. So in our case, our valuations are on AI gathering data. So that would at least eliminate some human bias. But I do want to say that we are still in the nascent stages of finding solutions to this problem. It's not perfect yet, because even though you have sort of eliminated the human bias for the inspections today, there's still going to be some data used in the AVMs that include historical pricings. So that would have some bias baked into it. But again, like I said, we're in the early stages. We're trying to figure out and help solve that problem every day.
Great, thank you. Actually, do you maybe want to just talk a little bit about how your program is also actively looking to have more diverse founders?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, this is one of the great ways that we're helping to achieve that, is really expanding our pool of candidates and expanding the opportunities that are out there to be in front of organizations like Women in PropTech. And that's from really all angles of the industry. So that's the investor community, that's the technology community, and that's the realtor community as well. And so we're making significant efforts to be more in the forefront of those communities, making ourselves more accessible, supporting programs that we can support to get more and more entrepreneurs into the PropTech space, to support the funding that underrepresented voices are receiving, or I should say not receiving. So significant efforts. It's something we're extremely passionate about. And I think that our team really represents a well-rounded team, because it is so important to us. And again, we're really proud of the strides we've made within our portfolio ourselves. I know I said it earlier, but to have over 20 female founders within our greater global portfolio is something that we're incredibly proud of. And we expect that number to continue to rise, and we are committed to it.
Fantastic, thank you. And Sheila, what are you seeing in the industry that also helps to address this issue of bias?
I mean, it's a difficult issue, I think, in terms of how to address bias. I have been in commercial real estate forever, and it's clearly a male-dominated profession. And I think everybody is trying to fix those issues. I think we need to see more women on boards. We need to see more women in the C-suite. We need to see more women funded. I mean, I do think there are studies that show that women have to be much further along to get the same level of funding that men get. So it is a very complicated issue, because I feel like the industry's been amazing for me. It's been a great profession. I love it. But it does have inherent issues in it. And I don't think it's an easy fix. I think it's going to take some time. But in our class of 2019, the commercial class of NAR, I think there were 4 companies that were women founders. So I had to say, once again, they were putting their money where their mouths were. And I was super impressed. And the women were incredibly qualified, and they were women. So we loved our class. We had a great time. We even loved the men in it. They were fabulous too. We're not man haters, but it's got a long way to go. So we all need to work together. And what you're doing, Nikki, is amazing. What NAR REACH and Ashley are doing is amazing. Kat's in an awesome job. I think we all have to work together and just keep propelling each other and other women and doing everything we can to see change.
Great, thank you. And I might stay with you for a moment, Sheila, and just ask about what advice you might have for budding entrepreneurs, just coming from your experience building a successful company.
Oh, that's a good one. It's funny, like, I think when I started it after being in commercial real estate for 25 years and being on all different sides of it, I'd sort of forgotten how challenging startups could be. So they're a ton of fun, but they are challenging. So I think what you have to do is just like, remember, you don't know what the next day is going to bring, and be ready to evolve and embrace it. Like you said, when opportunities come, because you're going to have tough days too. But if you've embraced all those opportunities, I think there's going to be a lot more good than bad days. So.
Fantastic. And how about you, Kat? I know that you've worked, this is not your first time working at a startup, but what advice do you have for budding entrepreneurs?
Be agile. I mean, especially in a year like this year, it's, you have to be able to pivot. You have to be constantly innovative, but at the same time, always believe in your vision. I find that because we do work for a data-driven company, everything is very data-based, but the founders always still, stick to their gut as far as like, okay, this is the mission we went for. There's going to be a few turns here and there, but at the end of the day, this is our vision. We're going to go for it. And so I would say just believe in that. And I know it's, everybody says it all the time, but it's so true. I've worked with so many startups, so many innovators, so many entrepreneurs. And at the end of the day, believe in what you're doing and stick to it, and just be ready to pivot as needed, but still focus on your goals.
Fantastic. Thank you. And Ashley, any advice for budding entrepreneurs?
Sure. Yeah, I'd say, something that I've learned from a lot of the founders that we've worked with is be perpetually curious. The real estate industry is just so incredibly complicated, can be really, really complicated. But those who are a real sponge for new information and accepting of new ideas and new people and new ways to, navigate this industry, I think really make the most of it and certainly make the most of the Reach experience. I come from a very structured corporate background, so structure is comfortable, but getting comfortable with ambiguity is something that I really envy and see in our founders. And I'm, really trying to be a sponge myself to be more like them and to be perpetually curious.
Fantastic. And before we go over to the questions, finally, and we might go Ashley, Kat, and then Sheila, how can people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about what you're working on?
Yes, I threw out my email earlier. I'll give it to you again. Please do not hesitate to reach out. It's ashley@scv.vc. Or if you want to hit up our whole team, that's hello@narreach.com, or visit us at narreach.com to learn more about us and our over 150 amazing portfolio companies.
Email is best for me as well, either at hello@getplunk.com or at Kat, K-A-T, at getplunk.com.
Email's great too. Sheila at CoeoSpace.com is the best way to reach me. If you want to reach the whole team, it would be space@CoeoSpace.com. And I think you can see the LinkedIn and the Twitter on there, or you can see on our website is CoeoSpace.com as well. Thanks.
Great, thank you. All right, so we have a couple of questions that did come in advance. This question's open to anyone that wants to take it. The question came through from Brian, and he asked, how do you find a technical co-founder or somebody to build your product?
I can start there because we had a developer that started with us, and he ended up leaving during COVID. So we switched it to a third-party development company, and they're out of Poland. And so now we're in the process of hiring a new head of technology. So what we found was you could try to find a technical co-founder, or you can do what we're doing, which is we don't have a technical co-founder, but we're getting somebody we're 100% comfortable with that understands tech and who is learning the business. So he'll be able to translate that into the product. So we've learned a lot about it over the years. And I just think that, that you can do it in lots of different ways. So we had a guy who was sort of like entrenched in our initial team, and we had third-party developers, and now we're going to have a combination. So I would say there's a lot of different ways, and we used our board where we have a very strong technical guy, and then we used somebody from NAR who's incredibly smart from a technology standpoint. Like the kind of interviewers and talent that we could never afford are giving us input on who to hire and how to hire them. So lots of different ways to do it. I wouldn't let that stop you if you have a great idea.
Fantastic. Thanks for sharing your insights. This one, again, is for anybody to answer it. It comes from Sarah. And Sarah asks, what should you be looking at in terms of copyright and intellectual property protections? Very specific question.
As many as you can get is what I would say, but they're hard to get. So, I mean, even if for our company, we have a couple, but it's not like the most high-tech thing in the world. Like it's not a product to cure cancer. So Ashley might have better answer on that as well.
Oh gosh, the pressure's on, and I hate to say it, but it depends, right? It always depends. Like kind of like Sheila said, it's truly going to be unique to each one individually. I will say that's something that we can, help with, even though again, don't necessarily focus on the kind of classic business startup tools. We certainly can, help companies navigate that as that's something that they're working towards. We definitely have the tools and the larger PropTech community to support answering that on an individual basis.
Fantastic, thank you. And I think these types of questions just demonstrate in a way the type of very specific advice that some of these founders are coming up against, which aren't necessarily something that an individual or a couple of people can answer without, having access to, fantastic expertise. And I love, Sheila, how you referenced just being able to kind of tap into the intellectual network that NAR REACH has with their mentors. So we're just about out of time, but before we finish up, I will ask all of you if there's anything else that you just want to throw in that you haven't had a chance to talk about, or even any predictions about where this year might take us. So we might run Kat first, then Sheila, and finish up with Ashley.
Wow. Okay. Any predictions? Honestly, I've been just so focused on all things residential real estate. I just want to know when this crazy market is going to end. The housing market has been so nuts. And so I'd like to know from anybody here who might have some insight as to where this real estate market is going.
Yeah, I think it is anyone's guess. I mean, I'll say predictions are, to me, I'm looking at my fall calendar and it is back-to-back travel. So I think the world is coming back. I think things are starting to happen. The real estate on the residential side, I'm not on residential, but it seems like that's hot, hot, hot. Sure, downtown office is still struggling in major cities, but I think that it seems like people are all getting geared up. There's sort of this 3-tiered program to bring people back to work, from fully, remote to partial to fully on staff. And it just seems to me like the world is going to be really, really busy for all of us for the rest of the year. And I'm excited about it.
Yes.
Yes, fall is looking quite busy as the in-person events return. I think we're going to have quite a full slate on the back half of this year, but something that we're really excited to see is this kind of digital shift that COVID caused. How much of that stays? How many of these new tools continue to just be the new norm? And we're really excited to see that, things like remote online notarization and tools like that. So that's a very exciting shift that we're looking forward to seeing. The other prediction I guess I'll give is that 2022 will be our best year for accepting the most female founders we've ever accepted into our program. I'm going to make that prediction now because organizations and communities like this are going to help us reach out to each and every female founder out there to let them know about us and to hopefully bring those applications in.
Great, thank you. And I know that I'm putting you on the spot over here, Ashley, so I apologize if you don't have the information currently at hand. What is the application window for the different programs that you have coming up?
Sure. Yeah, the application window for the current REACH Canada Class of 2021 program is applications are open through July 31st. In August, we'll open applications for the Reach Australia and Southeast Asia program. Typically, our applications are open for 60 days. So that Australia program will open mid-August to early October. And then the UK and 2 US programs, the classes of 2022, applications for those will open in December of this year.
Fantastic. And what is the cohort size for each of those programs?
Yeah, each of them is between 6 and 10 companies. It really just is, again, like I was mentioning earlier, the DNA is, we'll take the number of what feels right. But the class sizes are never bigger than 10 and typically around 8 because we really love that one-to-one experience that we can deliver.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Well, ladies, we've come up against our time. So it's been an absolute delight to have you all here. I love your energy. I love your enthusiasm. And I love your passion for the program. And more than anything, I love that because of what you're doing in this ecosystem, you're actually creating products that are going to be fantastic for our industry and for the users that get to experience them. So thank you so much for sharing your insights and being part of this very special webinar.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you for having us. And thank you for creating Women in PropTech.
Thank you, Nikki.
Nikki. It was awesome. Thank you.